Welcome back to the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series. If you are just tuning in, Jack LeBrock has been awarded the victory in race 2. There was some contact between he and Anton De Pasquale in the closing corners. Anton becoming the first driver to cop a virtual penalty in our E-Series, which means that Jack is the winner, and we've got him standing by on the line for us for our Coopers live chat. Congratulations, Jack. Do you feel vindicated after that, because it got oh so close in the end there?
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool, isn't it? It's I suppose it's I don't really know how to feel with it, but yeah, you know, Anton's a guru on these sims, so yeah, I don't know, we survived it. Got lucky with the reverse grid, but it's cool. How much of this gaming do you do? Do you spend much time in the sim before we head to places like Phillip Island and those other circuits in Australia? No, this is pretty new for me. I literally had this thing rock up about all of 9 or 10 days ago. So, yeah, I'm learning a lot every time I get in this thing. But, no, it's pretty cool. I'm loving it. I can see why a lot of these guys use them. And, yeah, it's great fun at the same time. Oh, well done. 75 points in the bank for you. All the best. Heading into race 3, which is coming up in just a moment at Monza. Let's get a right of reply from Anton De Pasquale now. I believe he's on the line. Anton, what do you think? Do you feel like you were far enough up there? Is this a fair penalty?
I think it's a bit harsh, 30 seconds for having a dip, and obviously had overlap, so it can't disappear on the apex. But anyway, trying to put a good show on for everyone, and we end up in the stewards room. So anyway, carry on. Well, you're the first driver to cop a penalty in our E-Series, so well done for that. We loved the show, don't worry about it, but now a chance to make amends, because you'll start from pole position for race 3 at Monza. Yeah, it's pretty ironic I get the first penalty in the E-Series. I've seen a few cars getting rolled and stuff like that, so pretty interesting, but yeah, back on the pole, just try and put another good show and see what... Excellent. Have fun. We look forward to race start in just a few moments. So with that in mind, let's reset and look ahead to Monza, a fantastic circuit in Italy, and dive into the Hino hub with Crompo.
A beautiful location, this one, Jess. A racetrack that opened back in 1922, a woodland setting and home of the Italian Grand Prix for many years. So our race facts for this one, it's 19 laps, approximately 110 kilometres. You can see that just a little over 5.7 kilometres around this beautiful old racetrack. As it is with the supercar, it's 111 litre fuel capacity, start fuel 65, that's the burn rate per lap, 4.7 litres on the Hino hub. And the fuel required is 90 litres. The refuel rate, by the way, has been varying a bit during the week, but settled on about 2.5 litres per second, I should say. These are the areas to keep an eye on in this racetrack. Very, very fast racetrack, typically with, for example, a Formula 1 car, low downforce, premium requirement to be able to get the car stopped squarely into those first 2 chicanes. Trouble spots at turns 1 and 4, they actually number the X's of the chicanes as well. The Ascari chicane is also a difficult place, and the Parabolica, the very last corner, is pretty wild. So 150 points to win this one. Fuel saving can be a factor at this place, as the draft can be as well. Tyre wear is also something you've got to watch at this racetrack. It is a beautiful racetrack, and I've got some stuff that I'll drop in through the race to explain about this place and its marvellous history and the interaction for Aussies, both in terms of our supercar drivers and international Australians that have done well there over the years.
We know that there are always amazing crowds at Monza. You can see them there, and don't worry, there'll be social distancing tonight as we get set for this E-race. Let's take a look at our Truck Assist starting grid. Maddie, the usual suspects will be at the pointy end tonight.
I was just watching that chat that you had there with our pole sitter here, Anton De Pasquale. So qualifying was done for this a little earlier tonight. Scott McLaughlin also on the front row of the grid, Van Gisbergen and Mossen. Now, anybody who thinks this is just a game for these guys, go and have another look at that interview that you did with Anton there, because he is dirty about the fact that he got a penalty. He's dirty about the fact that he didn't get that race win next to his name. He takes this stuff very seriously, and that's one of the reasons, just one of the reasons why he is the hot favourite to win races in this BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series Championship. Can't wait for this one at Monza, 15 kilometres north of Milan in the Lombardy region of Italy, and as Crompo said, it's just spectacular. 5.793 kilometre circuit of straights and chicanes wonderful history all throughout the years of Formula One. It's hosted every single round of the Australian Formula One Grand Prix since Formula One's inception in 1950, except for 1980 when they had to go across to Imola. Chris Pither will get away from the rear of the grid. So that's your truck assist grid for race 3 of this E-Series Championship. 19 laps ahead. Everybody's diving in and 150 points on offer.
That's Lex lurking in the background there at Rick Kelly's workshop, home, simulator, race car, call it what you will. Race number 3, we're getting ready for the BP Supercars All-Star E-Series at Monza, Italy, as the cars arrive into position. As Matt said, north of Milan. A beautiful woodland setting in reality. 5.79 kilometres, 11 turns, low downforce, 3 very difficult chicanes, an incredibly high average speed, and we go racing with Di Pasquale making an excellent start, but McLaughlin sneaks down the inside quickly. Now pulling the cars up on cold tyres down here will be a challenge. Winterbottom gets centre punched into the wall. Another couple of cars involved, including Todd Hazelwood. Mostert goes around. McLaughlin almost loops the thing and rolls off the top of the curb, and I knew there'd be chaos in the first chicane. That was LeBrock, race 2 race winner, going wide on the exit of turn 2. Now they're into the Curva Grande. Cold tyres, trying to figure out a way through the crazy maze.
Incredible. Will Davison, there's a big pile up. Huge as Bryce Forward goes soaring into the air. The Red Bull Holden, it's got to be Van Gisbergen. He's upended as well. 1, 2, 3, 4 cars in trouble and more coming. Contact everywhere. This is pinball machine stuff. They didn't even make it up to turn 4, the second chicane. Bonnets ripped off, panel damage everywhere, cars flying through the air. You don't know what you're seeing here.
Ford Mustang and Holden ZB Commodore bonnets going cheap.
I thought Shane Van Gisbergen had a worry, the BP Ultimate Cleanup. Van Gisbergen had a really slow start. He got caught in the centre of the track there and just couldn't click away. And I thought, gee, Van Gisbergen's in trouble. That's not trouble. This is trouble. Bang. The Irwin car goes off to the left, back off to the right. Damage to Todd Hazelwood's rear as well. Then they get to turn 1. Scotty McLaughlin looks like he's in trouble just for getting on 2 wheels. No, this is trouble. Bang, bang, crash, everything.
Forward and Mostert got tangled up in there. Fabian Coulthard's in the background in the Shell V-Power Racing entry. And then it's on again because varying cars have got different levels of damage. Some can turn, some can't steer. Wings missing.
Looking forward.
There's a massive amount of metalwork cuddling going on through there. Oh, ouch. Who was that? Was that Todd?
So watch Bryce Forward here. Watch him soar into the air. So Heimgartner got airtime, and this is Bryce. Bang! Pirouette lands. And the Red Bull Holden racer winning.
So here's a fun job. How'd you like to be the driving standards advisor? Hands up those in the bunker in the Gold Coast who'd like to do that job. Oh, Craig Baird's got his hand up high. Hello, Baird.
Mate, anyone that can adjudicate something like that is an absolute magician. But look, I think they've got a reset button on it, don't they? I think they need to go back and reset it. At that point, it's a little hard. I think they're going to try and call a safety car, bunch it up, get the cars fixed up, and we'll have another go. But this is one of the things with virtual racing. That first lap, the cold tyres, it seems to be a bit of a disaster. So maybe we'll introduce some tyre warmers and get them going again.
Thanks, Beardo. Race Control have called the Vodafone Safety Car. Not surprisingly, they're looking for industrial strength band-aids out there at the moment to put these cars back together, and the field, what's left of it, will bunch up. Now, the cars do actually retain residual damage. So you can see, for example, that the Techno car is minus the bonnet. So's Alex Davison's car, so that will affect their behaviour. And those Mobil 1 racing cars of both Bryce Forward and Chaz Mostert looked like they had significant damage, and so they're back in the lane for repair.
So the way it works with the reset button, they've got an escape button.
Can I push it?
They need an ejector button. That's what they need. Bryce Forward decided to make his own, use his car as it. So they can press an escape button, which will basically take them back virtually to the pit lane and the garage and fix their car. It does apply a time penalty because you've got to tow it. We have deactivated the escape button, not deactivated. As part of this series, you're not allowed to use it, but Beto has the ability to say yes, you can. And in this scenario, obviously, everybody who's got that damage that they can't get back to the lane under their own steam has the ability to do that. I don't know if you saw, but there was a crash on the exit of pit lane as well, Crompo, while you're trying to get through that mess.
Let's get back down to Melbourne with Chad and Jonathan. Spring washers for sale by the dozen. Spring washers.
We're trying to unravel all of everything that just happened just then. Cam Waters was in everything. I reckon he's going to have to go out there and hit the pace car right now because he's hit just about everyone else on this opening lap. So Scott McLaughlin has picked up the pace car at the moment. And unlike our normal series, Jonathan, no one's pitted yet because you're not allowed in iRacing to pit once the safety car is called. You've got to wait.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get over the accent, by the way. But yeah, exactly. This pit procedure, nobody can enter the lane on this first lap. So this lap next by, when they cross the lane, Chad, they're able to come in, service their cars, and you've got to take the pit stop now and fill up those 25 litres you need to make the end of the race.
Yeah, strategically, you can stop now and make it to the end on fuel. A few very keen eyes on Twitters have noticed that we've been wearing our accreditation today. Yes, this is pit lane access, all right, guys, for virtual pit lane. A few people have asked us to wear the pit lane race suits. We'll maybe save that one for Bathurst.
All right. Plenty of time, plenty of fun to have. I've been getting plenty of messages from Supercars fans starved of action that are absolutely loving this because, I mean, do you call it action or just carnage? It's a bit of both. It's a lot of fun here at Monza.
You can just see through the background of the trees there, I don't believe what I'm saying, that the original track is being shown there, which is the old 4.2 kilometre high bank oval circuit, because this was one of the first 3 permanent racetracks in the world with Brooklands and Indianapolis way back when in the early 1900s that got international motorsport going like we know it. And it's one of the most extraordinary locations for international motorsport. You know, drivers love it. They rank it with Spa as an absolute favourite. And in a Formula One car, the speeds are insane. So at last year's Grand Prix, for example, they found peak speeds in the speed trap of 349 kilometres an hour. Perez and Leclerc equalled the top speeds there in Formula One. Kimi Raikkonen actually set a record in qualifying, did a 1 minute 19.1 a couple of years ago at this location. Here's the replay for the reason why the Vodafone safety car is out. McLaughlin covered down the inside. Winterbottom got absolutely centre punched into the wall. It took Todd Hazelwood with him. Now, I think Bryce Forward got into the back of, I'm not sure, it might have been Anton. And then, I mean, it started to be a roll call. I tried to write the names down and I gave up. We're going to go green in a moment in any case.
It's easier to write the names
but it was
down
the
of those who
secondary.
survived.
It was the secondary action that was pretty wild there, Matty, as they tried to get out the other side, because some had steering damage, had bits missing off the car. So there's a heap of vehicles that are now coming into pit lane to take their stop and try and get some fresh air. Which of the Red Bull cars was upside down? Was that Shane or Jamie?
I thought
that was a pretty cool thing.
I thought it was Shane. It's pretty cool in pit lane, isn't it? The cars come in, they stop just like they normally do. Up they go, down they go, but you don't do that in regular pit lane. You don't actually physically drive through the car in front of you. So 25 litres of fuel was needed to get to the back end of this race. They started with 65. They needed 90 to get to lap 19, so they'd have to take 25 seconds. So the pit lane transit time should be around 35 odd seconds, which it has been. Lap 4 out of 19. You're right, mate. It was a roll call, wasn't it? I mean, everybody was involved in something except for Scott McLaughlin, who must have thought it was a pretty wild ride through turn 1 and turn 2 chicane anyway, and then he would have seen what was going on behind him. Vodafone safety car still in control. Lights are out, so we'll get to go racing soon.
Cam Waters has control of the field from Alex Davison. Then Chaz Mostert, Mark Winterbottom, David Reynolds, Jack LeBrock, winner of race number 2 at Phillip Island, Will Davison, Lee Holdsworth, Fabian Coulthard and Scott McLaughlin. That is the top 10. Safety cars invariably breed more strife. I'm not sure that it would be possible to have more than what we've just seen in the last several minutes. So they're just about to be released. The Vodafone safety car lights are off, and the car's getting back underway as we pick up on the dual Virgin Australia Supercars champion, Scott McLaughlin, who's looking at data on his screen. He's He's already been successful. Cam Waters, Monster Energy Racing Ford Mustang, driving for Tickford. And he's leading the field at the moment. Quick cross to the pit reporters, Chad.
Yeah, well, we're as surprised as anyone to see Cam Waters leading the race right now, because he's been in every single accident there's had to have out there right now. How has he got there, Jonathan?
We think he's made this pit stop, or we don't think, we're confirming he's made this pit stop at the end of lap 1 now. The thing is, if he's leading this race, this is one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. He's been a beneficiary from this pace car phase.
Yeah, so he essentially pitted before the safety car came out, which would make that pit stop legal. So the question now will be fuel. Can he get home on fuel from here? It's going to be a really interesting finish, and there's still 15 laps to go.
Thank you, boys. I think the run up to turn 1 from the start was one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. Let alone the fact that Cam Waters has managed to get to the top of the tree here. So when they get going, he'll have Alex Davison behind him. Chaz Mostert on the podium in race 2. Mark Winterbottom has hit just about every wall there is to hit between Phillip Island and Monza.
Lucky he's got friends in the tool business.
Correct.
They'll be using to put that thing back together.
Davey Reynolds, the Penrite Racing Erebus Motorsport entry. There's Cam Waters. He's going to restart this race.
Okay, folks, let's play Spot the Straight Panel.
You become a used car salesman in this one. Selling parts left, right and centre.
I want to see the guy that's running alongside with the camera that gets that shot.
All right, let's get going again. The Vodafone Safety Car has peeled off. Cam Waters in control of the restart of this race. 4 laps down. A huge amount of damage already, but this is their first flying lap in anger if they can get through it. This is the crucial part, turn 1 and turn 2. Back to first gear, first or second for both of these turns. Sharp right-hander, snap left-hander. Already Chaz Mostert has been turned around. One of the Shell V-Power cars has gone around as well. But Waters gets through cleanly. Winterbottom goes with him. Reynolds, LeBrock, the 2 Davison brothers, 5th and 6th. Chaz rejoins. He's down in 12th. And that was Scott McLaughlin who went around with him.
Yeah, he's dropped back down into 11th position, Matt. So nice jump away and already a decent margin for Cam Waters. Mark Winterbottom in behind him, and it was Chaz Mostert and Scott McLaughlin fared poorly in the opening lap on cold tyres. Bit of push and shove going on in the background here. David Reynolds, car number 9 on screen. And remember, this is the location that, for those of you that are hardcore motorsport fans, that back in 1987, Alan Moffat and John Harvey were the winners of the first ever World Touring Car Championship round. They actually finished 7th, but the first 6 BMWs got done for an illegality, and they were handed the win, which was an historic moment and a great thing for the Aussies and the Holden Commodore of the day.
So Anton De Pasquale is down in 16th position. There's some talk that he may have had some contact with Scott McLaughlin. I can see just behind Chris Pither's Coca-Cola car, Shane Van Gisbergen, who's getting angry about being down there in 19th. That's Nick Percat, Bradley Jones Racing on the left-hand side of our screen. So more drama has unfolded at the back on the restart. Scott Pye goes past. He's in position number 12. There's De Pasquale in 16th. Oh, Davey Reynolds. He's gone left, he's gone right, he's turning the wrong way down at turn 1. Coulthard goes by him. And now he's on the grass trying to regroup and re-grip.
I think that was Scott Pye rotating through the first chicane awkwardly as well. Not confirmed, but Reynolds certainly was out of shape down there. And it's very easily done, locking the rear brakes on these cars, and particularly if you feed them a gear too early, they will have a virtual compression lock and around you'll go. So Waters has got the margin at the moment, 1.1 seconds over Winterbottom, and then LeBrock, Davison, Coulthard, Kostecki, McLaughlin in recovery, Mostert in recovery, and then Heimgartner and Alex Davison. An amazing racetrack with these 2 very difficult and highly complex chicanes. The Ascari complex, the 3rd of the chicane complexes, is a little different in its shape, but you can't jump too aggressively over the top of the curbs. And one of the other things that iRacing can do is they can implement a slowing penalty if you do crazy stuff and throw the entire car over the top of the curbing. watching Heimgartner. Bunnings Trade power pass. Let's have a look.
This is the teammates, Anton De Pasquale getting past David Reynolds, the Penrite Racing Commodores. Sneaks it out to the right-hand side and gets that position done well. So that put Anton up to 13th.
So the form guide hasn't really played out, has it? By comparison to the way in which cars have qualified and all the talk in the lead-up to this competition, some of the favoured runners have been getting boxed and bruised out there today. Waters, Winterbottom, LeBrock, Davison, Kostecki, McLaughlin. Now these cars are achieving very high speeds on this front straight of about 290 kilometres per hour. And then it's into this huge stop. We're trying to judge the exact spot to pull the car up is unbelievably hard to do. And then it's very slow through that first chicane, then through the long right-hander at the Curva Grande, and then building to the second of the chicanes where once again they get back to second gear and put the cars left and right and have got to judge the exact amount of curbing. Chris Pither's Team Sydney Coca-Cola Racing Commodore with the bonnet missing and struggling to get off that corner. Then they head up to the Lesmos, turns 6 and 7, and there's a short sheet between those. Alex Davison makes a bit of contact, I think, with Anton De Pasquale as they made their run in there to turn 6. It's the second of the Lesmo corners, and then the high-speed run, which has got some undulation in it, in reality, down to the third timing intermediate and to Ascari. And in fact, back in 1955, famous Ferrari driver Alberto Ascari lost his life at this racetrack, and Anton De Pasquale has a monstrous moment here as well. Gets rotated, shoved into the fence, monstrous damage on that car, missing the front bumper assembly, front wing, bonnet, maybe even the engine.
That was a big one. He'd done all that hard work to try and pick his way back through the field, got past his teammate, got back into the position to be able to strike, and was sent spinning around on that back straight. So Cam Waters is our race leader, 0.8 of a second clear of Mark Winterbottom.
McLaughlin's making a bit of ground here, so Pither it was that made contact with Anton. They overlapped and made awkward contact, and it fired the Penrite Racing entry into the wall. So there's McLaughlin making that ground from 5th position. Next in the queue, if he can close that margin, is Jack LeBrock. Jake Kostecki on screen. Chaz Mostert in behind him, followed by Fabian Coulthard. Fabian's in 8th position. Jake just got the right rear on the grass at Ascari. That was a bit awkward. He got it out the other side without tipping it off, though, and spinning it, but he's going to cede positions here to both Mostert. Oh, and Coulthard, he tags him. So Kostecki tags Coulthard. Fabian's out in the gravel and manages to rejoin without interrupting Andre Heimgartner. And also through is Goddard in car number 34. So a bunch of spots lost there by Fabian. Meantime, 1 second lead, Cam Waters over Mark Winterbottom. I'm going to get a view from Craig Baird on this in a moment as well. And he's up in the bunker. Driving Standards Advisor, Beto, your thoughts?
Yeah, Chris Pither, car 22, drive-through penalty for contact with car 99.
Thank you. So Craig Baird, who regularly plays the role of the Driving Standards Advisor in the Virgin Australia Supercars competition in Motorsport Australia Race Control, has called a drive-through penalty for Chris Pither in the Coca-Cola entry. Car number 12, Fabian Coulthard, who also got shoved wide into the gravel on the run in the early part of the parabolic of this long right-hand corner, the final corner on the complex, where in the Formula One cars, the drivers are experiencing 4 and 5 times their body weight. So stay on board and look and listen to this and look at the way it gets into turn 1.
And he does it cleanly there. Cam Waters leading this race on lap 9. Now we can tune in to Fabian Coulthard.
was fantastic to stay on board there, and I was particularly interested in the treatment of throttle, brake and the sensitivity involved in the steering, but we've got more information now coming from the bunker. Let's get back with Craig Baird.
Yep.
What were your thoughts, Beardo? What else have you got for us?
Also, car 33, contact car 12, 33 drive-through penalty.
Okay, thanks for that, mate. So,
Jake
Kostecki.
On Fabian Coulthard. So Chris Pither, drive-through penalty. Jake Kostecki, drive-through penalty. Cameron Waters, leader of the race by a second over Mark Winterbottom, who's playing a bit of a man of the match here. He just got cannoned into everything and everyone off the start line and has managed to bounce back to be in second position. Will Davison is third. Then it's Jack LeBrock, winner of race 2. Scott McLaughlin, position 5. Chaz Mostert, Andre Heimgartner, who you can see. Then it's Coulthard, Zane Goddard, Kostecki with that drive-through hanging over him. Scott Pye in position 11.
So our leader is Cam Waters. So Waters has got a margin of just on 9/10 of a second over Mark Winterbottom, and you can see the Monster Energy car in the foreground, Irwin Tools car, racing car in the background, then Will Davison for Milwaukee Racing, and it's on. Jack LeBrock making a move here on Scott McLaughlin. They've got to slow the cars down dramatically into that first corner. You can see the amount of damage on the side of McLaughlin's car. Bunnings Trade power pass. So we're looking at the back of Jack LeBrock, and I think we're riding with McLaughlin. So let's have a look and see whether Scotty and the Shell V-Power Racing Team Mustang gets down the inside, and he does, and he does it cleanly. He's got the braking worked out in these things brilliantly. He's done a lot of laps. He got up at awful o'clock just recently to race that IndyCar on a couple of occasions at both Watkins Glen and Barber Motorsports Park. 4th and 1st for his troubles. There's LeBrock, and we had a glimpse there of McLaughlin. I talked about some of the drivers that we know very well that have raced at this location, Matty. I talked about Alan Moffat and John Harvey. Peter Brock and Alan Moffat were also here in 1986, and so was Alan Grice and Graham Bailey. But there's a couple of other notables as well. A bloke by the name of Mark Scaife, together with Tony Longhurst, they ran in a 2-litre race, an FIA World Touring Car Cup race back in 1993. MS was probably a little further down the order than he'd like, so I won't mention the results. James Courtney drove a Jaguar Formula 1 car here and had a rear wing part company with it and really hurt him. Probably cost him the British Formula 3 Championship that year in 2002. Alex Davison, brother of Will Davison on screen here, was a runner-up in a Porsche Super Cup race in 2002. Scotty Pye, who we've seen in the DeWalt car, ran here in a British Formula 3 Championship race, 3 races. It did not finish a 12th and a 14th when they were running some of those races outside the UK. And Shane van Gisbergen, 16th in 2015 in the GT race in the Blancpain series, and he was a winner in 2016. So some of our very familiar names and faces have had some exposure to this racetrack.
And in terms of Formula 1 at this circuit, no Australian has ever won the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. Mark Webber was third in 2013. Jack Brabham had a second. AJ Allen Jones was second here in 1981 for Williams. Dan Ricciardo, his best at this circuit, 4th. I think he was 5th last year. The race in Formula 1 last year at Monza, pole position and the victory going to Ferrari's Charles Leclerc. All right, back to business for Cameron Waters in the Monster Energy Mustang. He has Mark Winterbottom, Team 18 Irwin Racing Commodore behind him, Will Davison and Scott McLaughlin tussling for 3rd position.
So the margin between 1st and 2nd has closed up to 0.6 of a second officially, and McLaughlin's making a move here on Will Davison. Will got a tardy exit out of the last chicane and in fact has lost a spot. So McLaughlin has now moved up into 3rd. Whoa, Will used a lot of the curbing out of Ascari and has actually lost a little bit of ground now on McLaughlin. Even in that manoeuvre, just that awkward exit there has cost him about a second. So Waters has just stabilised that margin in the last several corners. He's got a lot of pressure on him at the moment. 2017 Sandown 500 winner Cam Waters, effectively leading the show for Tickford Racing in 2020. And a guy who came originally from that same group, from that same race team back in the Ford Performance Racing days. Mark Winterbottom in second position, now driving for Charlie Schwerkolt. Now, can McLaughlin make up this ground? Because he's showing very good splits on the sectors here as well. In every sector at the moment, he's making about anywhere between a tenth to a couple of tenths of a second. There are 5 measurable sectors here. Here's the replay, and watching McLaughlin down the inside and the view from the Dunlop curb cam. Now they get a smashing around here, and that was the exit where we saw Will Davison getting all crossed up and looking a bit ugly coming out of that second chicane.
That was cool. I can tell you, Crompo, we're scheduled for 19 laps at this race, but thanks to that safety car, we're going to end at time certain, so it'll probably be 1 lap short. So looking for 18 laps all up. Cameron Waters with effectively 5 laps to hold off this angry-looking group behind him, and the angriest in terms of speed and positioning of the car at the moment has got to be Scott McLaughlin. Winterbottom's doing a really good job holding fire here. He doesn't have as much experience in this simulated racing as those around him. He's currently in second position in the Irwin Racing Commodore, but he's got McLaughlin hunting him down.
The expectation coming into this competition was that we would probably see quite a lot of Shane Van Gisbergen. He's down in 24th and 7 laps off the lead and all that damage, and I've got a feeling he may have even given it away, or he's at least at the back of the pack. So he'll live to fight another day. And our next event, round 2, is going to take us to a couple of very famous racetracks, to Silverstone, north of London in the UK, home of the British Grand Prix, and to Catalunya, just outside Barcelona in Spain. And down the inside comes McLaughlin, or does he? His brake touch has been very impressive, and he does make ground, gets it up into second position for Shell V-Power Racing. So McLaughlin's got the eyes on. He's only 3/4 of a second behind Waters now. So it is a Mustang 1 and 2.
Chaz Mostard's got past as well. So Chaz Mostard, he's up to 4th at the moment. Let's have a look. He's got past Will Davison.
And he gets it done cleanly down the inside on the approach to the chicane. They do have to respect those track limits there, Matty. The white line on both sides of the racetrack defines the racing line. You can get 2 wheels over it, but you can't put 4 across it. Exactly the same as in the actual racing. So nice job on the replay showing McLaughlin's move up to second. Mostert got through on Will Davison as well. So the complexion in the top group has changed, and it's on again now as Waters fights back. He tries to cover down the inside because he's looking vulnerable at the moment. That was only 0.1 of a second, and it looked like we might have had a lead change going on there. We've got a car that's out of sequence in front of them with damage on it. So this is the battle for the lead between Waters and McLaughlin. And McLaughlin has been making tremendous ground just in the last several laps, particularly in the first sector.
It's game on now.
See McLaughlin chasing that steering wheel. I haven't seen a lot of that stuff going on because you have to be very gentle with your steering inputs. He's got a nice exit out of the parabolica. He's got speed in hand, and he makes the pass stick down the inside. Does he pull it up nice and straight? He's got to be careful of the white line, and he can't pull across too aggressively over the front of Waters, or they will make contact. Winterbottom's in here as well. So Frosty's in with a show. He's got pressure from Mostert here. So the top 4 all closing up. Only 1.5 odd seconds covering them. Chaz Mostert on the charge for Mobil 1 and Appliances Online. He's trying to fire it down the inside. The crisscross is on here. I think he might just have enough pace. No, dirty side of the road. Couldn't get it done.
Yeah, this is a great battle. What a battle this is.
Shift lights across the top of the display. You can see what gear the drivers are in. And bottom left-hand corner of screen shows you gap to next, and you can pick where some of your favourite drivers are. It's McLaughlin, Waters, Winterbottom, Mostert, Davison, LeBrock, Heimgartner, Coulthard, Kostecki forward. That's the top 10, and just outside doing a nice job is Zane Goddard. Down the inside comes Mostert. He's on the dirty side of the road, and he has made it work.
He's got it. All that hard work paid off, Crompo. Mark Winterbottom, just at the time of I was talking about him holding fire and holding that position, those with speed and purpose came up after him, and now he's giving a little nudge to Chaz Mostert just to remind him that he's there.
I talked about the benefit of the draft at Monza. It's real. Mostert and Winterbottom in a big battle for third place. Just behind them is Will Davison for Milwaukee Racing. There's a very small margin across those cars. Meantime, it's a half second now between McLaughlin and Waters. Frosty, Mark Winterbottom, top right-hand corner of screen. Chaz Mostert is bottom right-hand corner. From 290 kilometres an hour, slowing all the way down to about 75 kilometres an hour at the slowest point in the first and second chicanes. It's a lot of speed to manage under brakes.
So Will Davison wants a piece of this action. He's now putting the maximum attack on Mark Winterbottom. Scott McLaughlin is a half a second clear of Cameron Waters at the front of this field. Davison bides his time through the chicane. Remember, 150 points in the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series Championship on offer for the winner of this race. McLaughlin already has 75 for winning race 1 at Phillip Island. Jack LeBrock took victory in race 2. He has 75, and right now, McLaughlin has a grip on 150 more points after our first round this evening. So Mark Winterbottom, he's faced it all in this race. Big contact off the start line. Got back into position, was fighting for a podium spot. He's had that taken off him. Mostert was after him, he got him. Davison's after him, and Mark Winterbottom will try and make sure that he holds him clear.
Will had a long, hard look on the run into the right-hander, into the parabolica, but he just didn't quite have the momentum to get it done. So will he get some benefit from the draft here as we take the shot of Will at work? 23 Red Racing for Phil Munday, Milwaukee Racing. He's very close to the back of Mark Winterbottom. He pulls it to the inside, mindful of the white line. He's got to get all that speed wiped off. Frosty had it sideways. In fact, Mark was in the middle of his own half lose. And I think Will was an unwitting participant in that one. So Frosty will be frustrated. Will Davison prevails and sneaks out the other side. McLaughlin, Waters, Mostert, Will Davison, Jack LeBrock.
Two of the most experienced drivers in the Virgin Australia Supercars Championship. More than 900 races between them here, and Mark Winterbottom just can't hold on to that position that he's been fighting and fighting to keep. Craig Baird, the driving standards advisor in Beardo's bunker, as we head towards the last lap of this race. We'll see if we can get Beardo on the line and get your opinion on that one.
Yeah, poor old Wilbur, he was just the innocent party there, so Frosty had already dropped it, locked the rears on the way in, and couldn't really do much about it, so tough old day for him.
Yep, thanks mate, so play on.
So that's just 1 second or a fraction under it at the moment between McLaughlin and Waters in the closing phase of race 3 for the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series. Race 3, round 1, Monza, Italy. An unbelievable location, home of the Italian Grand Prix. A place where our Supercars race director also successfully raced a Ferrari sports car. Tim Schenken had success at this location as well. When you were going through the roll call of those that have done well. Third in 1972 with the late, great Ronnie Peterson. And second, a runner-up in 1973 in the Monza 1000 sports car race with Carlos Reutemann. Look at this battle. So we've got Frosty in recovery now with Fabian Coulthard out of the parabolica. And we're on lap 18 of 19, closing stages of our first E-Series competition. Frosty will be filthy with himself for turning it around down here. He's trying to make up some ground. It's a combination of problems down there. Not only do you have to stop the car straight under brakes, and it's easy to lock the rear brake there, but it's very easy to also trip over on the top of the curve. Now, depending on time certainty, this might be a checkered flag here for McLaughlin. It's a fraction over 1 second between McLaughlin and Waters. Quick audio update from the boys in Melbourne.
just in case you needed a little bit more spice. We think McLaughlin might be short on fuel. There's chat on Twitch between he and his engineer, Richard Harris, and Harris is asking him, would you believe it, to try and give him some fuel back towards the end. The fact that this is going a lap short might just save him.
Yeah, well, that's the key point here, is he's got a half a lap to go. This is the last lap. Time certain finish, so that he doesn't have to do another one after this. Remember, this circuit is a long one, 5.79 kilometres. So that'll be music to Scott McLaughlin's ears. If he's running low on fuel, another one certainly could have hurt him.
It's a pretty hefty burn rate round here, 4.7 litres, but the drivers have got control of that. So the way in which they manage the downshifts, the throttle blipping, the picking up the throttle, the coasting and braking into the turns makes a difference. Now McLaughlin may be greeted by a checkered flag, and he is. Race 3 at Monza falls to the Shell V-Power racers. Scott McLaughlin victorious in Italy. Well done, Scotty. Second race victory of the week for him. He did it in an Indy car. He's done it in a supercar.
What a performance. The master of Monza in the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series. Works his way through the field, picks off Cameron Waters, and holds it to the finish. There's Cam on the podium in second. So 150 championship points going to the bank for Scott. And Chaz Mostert's worked up a bit of a sweat to get on the podium in third. Boys in pits. Our boys in the pits have taken their headsets off and gone iRacing.
Taking a pit.
So Scotty McLaughlin there gets the victory. What do you got, Chad?
Well, 1.4 seconds at the checkered flag, and guys, he finished that race with a litre of fuel left. Had that gone the extra lap, he would have made it.
Yeah, so the fuel burn's 4.7, you said, Crompo, so you need 4.7 to get a lap done. He had just over a litre left. He would have conked out about halfway, or just shy of. So some big names down the back end of here. Davey Reynolds, of course, still getting a grip on this series. Jamie Whincup hasn't delivered a blow yet because he too is in the same position. But Anton De Pasquale and Shane Van Gisbergen, for all money, for everyone you listen to, for the practice race we had earlier in the week, for the amount of laps that they do in these simulators, everybody was saying they were the ones to beat here at Monza, and they've finished right down the field. Wow. What a race.
Nice job by McLaughlin. In fact, I was watching his pace on the sector splits in the last 5-6 laps of the race, and it was very impressive, particularly in those first and second sectors. Just coasting down here with the Castrol Racing entry of watching Rick Kelly. And the Castrol Racing car did not have the best of days, particularly when it got airborne at Phillip Island. So nice work, Scott McLaughlin. Our koala race highlights. Winding back to what turned out to be a pretty chaotic start. They got off the line quite nicely. De Pasquale eclipsed, though, by McLaughlin. Winterbottom had huge contact with the wall, took it back into the lane and repaired it. McLaughlin tripped over the curb, and then there was a bunch of cars, about 8 of them, that all tangled awkwardly through the first chicane, and the subsequent damage meant there was chaos through turn 3 in the Curva Grande, and more cars than I could write down in a few seconds, that's for sure. So we had to work out who stopped, who didn't, who took fuel, who took repairs. For a while we had Waters leading, and then De Pasquale and Pither made contact. Pither took a penalty for that one. Big rotation for Anton, who is also one of the favoured drivers coming into today's event. Jake Kostecki got tangled with Fabian Coulthard and ended up with Fabian out in the gravel. And I talked about the fact that McLaughlin looked really strong in a bunch of places, and he started to eke his way towards the front of the field and ultimately got there. Was battling with fuel saving right towards the end of it, but as was the case with his IndyCar run earlier in the week, McLaughlin got it done. So he banks 150 points, and the 2 races at Phillip Island were worth 75 points apiece. So pretty cool racing, Jess.
It certainly was. We always wanted to go supercars racing at Monza, and we certainly did that tonight in the virtual world. Scott McLaughlin cleaning up, as Neil said, 2 race wins, and he does lead our championship at the moment. He's standing by for us in our Coopers live chat. Congratulations, Scotty. Wow, that was some opening lap. And you just had, I'm hearing, 1 litre of fuel left at the end of the race. You got away with it.
Yeah, it was pretty tight there because we just didn't know how many laps was to the end and stuff. But we had to take that that penalty, not the penalty, the fuel, the pit stop, and we were able to get away with it and save the fuel to the end. So really happy with everything.
Give us some insight into how you manage those pit stops and throughout tonight. You know, what strategy you're employing and if you've got anyone helping you out behind the scenes.
Yeah, there's a few bust ups, and I just try to get a few dogs. That's our motto for today. So I went out there and got some dogs, and it's been full on. I think just trying to get the lead early and get out of the crap and the S's and stuff like that. That was ideal, and then we got away with it. But yeah, look, it's a pretty full on. I had so much fun today, and I think a lot of people as well had a lot of fun, and I think that's the main thing. And I hope everyone at home enjoyed it, because I really think this is going to be cool, and it's a good interim thing that we can do in the meantime while we wait for our real racing again.
Indeed it is. You look like you were having a lot of fun, and we certainly had a lot of fun alongside with you. Congratulations. We'll look forward to catching up with you again next Wednesday night. Scotty McLaughlin leading the championship in the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series, as well as leading the Virgin Australia Supercars Championship too by 27 points. We're really looking forward to kicking it all off again next Wednesday night. Maddie Crompo, it's been a lot of fun.
Thanks,
Catalunya and Silverstone
Bring it
next week will be fantastic. See you then.
Thanks, Jess.